Oh, welcome to Failure to Stop's Uncuffed. Nope, this is the last call. I was going to check the audio really quick because I know last time the audio messed up. Looks like we're good. It's going to be a good show today, guys. Listen, today's show brought to you by ghostbed.com/wolfpack50 and factormeals.com/wolfpack50. Got that wrong too. It's ghostbed.com/wolfpack. Actually, today's show is there a blackout coming? Is there a blackout coming? Did somebody call this last week and then all of a sudden AT&T goes down, Verizon having all sorts of issues across the country? Is it because Trump is surging in the polls even after this plot to dismantle him via the court system? The court findings weren't really in Trump's favor, but somehow he's still surging in the polls. I don't know. We're going to talk about all of that. Also, Elon Musk trying to rally the wealthy at this point. What's up with that? What else do we have? We have on the docket. Jason, help me out. You can't because you're muted. I'm all over the place this morning. Oh, that's right. What was Trump even guilty of? Guess we're going to talk about that. That's going to be strange. Pride Month. Is it political? Is it purely political at this point? Is there any kind of reverence or any kind of what's the right word I'm looking for? Is there any organization to Pride Month, or is it just a political free-for-all? We'll find out. And then China, big news here. China surrounding Taiwan and Russia doing nuclear bomb drills countrywide. That's super strange. All this and more on today's Failure to Stop. Let's go.
The growing calls across the nation to defund the police.
To end policing as we know it.
Off the charts violence in New York City. 11 people shot in just 8 hours on Sunday.
This is about the police officers who every single day put on that uniform and they run towards danger when we run away from it.
All right, guns up, giddy up. I'm sorry, struggle bus this morning. It's going to be a good show, though. I'll tell you that much. Conservative Ant is on his way. Just texted, says I'm 1 minute out. I'll be on in 1 minute. So that's good. So we have Conservative Anthony, political commentator and social media extraordinaire. We also have Kiefer from One More and I'm Out of Here podcast. What's up, Keith? He does our sports show on Thursdays here, so he's going to help me break down some of this political news before we jump into it. Live chats are they're catching up. Murph 530, folk around and find out. One more, and I'm out of here. Low Rin, David J, Will Cray. What up, guys? Thank you for being here. All right.
Wasn't sure you were gonna get that intro out.
What's that?
I wasn't sure you were gonna get that intro out. You vapor locked for a second,
bro. Did I vapor lock?
A little bit.
Because I couldn't find it. Yeah. So let me just be real with everybody up front. Welcome to the Failure Stop podcast channel. We do 5 shows a week here, and they're live on the YouTubes. It's all to inform and entertain first responders so that you guys have something to listen to in your cars and be entertained and then informed on top of that. And we're going to get into all the information here in just a second. But my kids launched their first YouTube channel. Now, everybody's been asking, if you don't know who my kids are, they are sponsored skateboarders. They're only 11 years old, 9 years old, and 6 years old. And then my daughters are 2 and 1. I have 5 of these guys, but they have great social media. They're super funny. They do it all. They've been in commercials. And everybody's like, dude, do they have a YouTube channel? Do they have a YouTube channel? They had a podcast. We let them do a podcast. It was a really big hit. We had to slow it down because it was too much like work. And they were going to these big events and having no fun because these people would pay for them to go to these events, pay for their hotel, pay for their travel, all these things. But then they would expect they would interview everybody there. So yeah, they're celebrities in their own right. But my kids were only at the time, they were 10 years old. They don't really know who these people are. And they're like, well, we have so-and-so here. So we got to get an interview with your kids and so-and-so. And we got to do so-and-so. And so then we'd have them to research these people, have them research it. And they're not having any fun doing this. You know what I mean? They're at these mega pro-con competitions and stuff. And they're not able to skate, play in the water, skimboard, do any of the fun shit that all the other kids are doing. Because now they're having a podcast. And so we got rid of the podcast. We handed it over to somebody else, gave them the rights to it and the whole 9 yards. But now a year later, we figured that a YouTube channel would still be super fun because they really like doing it. They just didn't want to do it so much. So now what we do is have a film crew is following them, and they're mic'd up, and they get to do all the things that they want to do all day. And then when an adventure pops up, they take off with it. So they got to ride with Robbie Madison, the dirt bike guy. I don't know. Do you remember the Robbie Madison? He was on the dirt bike and he was riding the waves and Pipeline, put skis on his dirt bike. So this guy was there. He put the kids on the bike and catwalked for them and then skateboarded with them, put them underneath the ramp basically for the motocross show. It was so dope. It was so rad. And their first ever episode on Rad Kids Club just went up on YouTube this morning. So with that, I was since like 7 o'clock in the morning doing children's YouTube crap. And then dad, can you do this? Dad, can we get it out here? Dad. You know what I mean? And it was just like, can we watch it again? Did you send it? So I'm sitting here. I was in the shower and they were like, Dad, you know what we should do? And I'm like, yo, I'm just trying to wash my balls. Like,
I love how creative they are and the amount of content that you guys as a whole put out. I mean, I felt like I was literally on at Jackalope with you guys as much.
Did you like it? Yeah, it was good, right?
Awesome.
Dude, those videographers, Ed Burgess and Nick Boussois, Ed and Nick are two of the best action sports videographers in the game. I mean, they're in magazines. Ed's been in Thrasher. Nick's been in Skate Magazine. These guys are like best in the game. And it was actually Ed Burgess's idea. He runs Ironman, the triathlons. He does all the media for them, runs the live production, the live cast. All the cuts and stuff that you see on Outdoor Network, that's all him. Like he does all of it. So he's constantly traveling. But between the two of them, they were shooting my kids for product shots. Liquid Death, Yoka Hair skateboards, Volatile skateboards with Fishbone, the band Fishbone, that ska band. So he's done a number of shoots with them. And same as Nick Bussius, they did a popsicle shoot. I forgot the name of the popsicle company. Grom USA. Nick Bussius did the Grom USA photo shoot with the boys. So anyway, Ed was like, yo, these kids are the raddest kids I've ever shot. Like, just, they're kind, they're nice, they're polite. They're so easy to work with. They're so much fun and goofy, and it makes getting shots for them super easy. And it'd be funny because like a lot of times, I remember like the first time that they shot the kids, they were like, how much money, like, I'll bribe you to land this trick, like second try before the sun moves. Cause like we need to get this shot while the sun's there. And I was like, yo, you don't have like money. It doesn't register with them. I was like, bet him a fucking slushie, which is like 89 cents for you. And he was like, what? I was like, bro, if you tell him a slushie, when he lands this trick, he'll get a slushie. He'll land it in seconds. And the guy was like, okay. So he's like, hey man, I'll bet you a slushie. And my kid was like, a blue slushie or red slushie. And he's like, whatever slushie you want. And he was like, yeah, okay, got you. Nails it right next try. So anyway, they were like, bro, we have to do something with these kids. We have to. Conservative Anthony, Blake Reynolds did a little Ghost Bed promo with them that was pretty funny and pretty great. And so I was like, dude, it's time. And I think that they love making content so much that if we just make it not work for them, I'll be happy with it. I don't want to see them missing out. And they were like, dude, that's what this whole thing is going to be about, is them having fun. We're just in the background videoing. And I was like, as long as you don't stop them from having fun. Yeah. And so episode 1 just came out today. Rad Kids Club. Go over there and like and subscribe. There's 16 of you in the YouTube chat. There's a bunch more in the Rumbles, I think. Who knows what on the Patreon. If you're listening to this live right now, go and subscribe to that channel. And then watch the video in its entirety and try to leave a like and a comment. It says that the comments are turned off, but I think I turned them on. All right. I was trying to stall for a conservative ant. Didn't work. But I just texted him just now. But anyway, we'll go ahead and get started. I was going to start with gay pride, political movement, but I kind of really need Ant here for that one. So let's just jump into. I wanted him here for the blackout thing too, because that is a big news story. Let me give Ant a few more minutes to get on here because he's part of the blackout. He got black. Did you get blacked out yesterday?
I did not.
You did not?
It didn't make its way to Ohio, apparently.
Look at me, dude. I made it all about myself for the whole 10 minutes of the show. Tell me about you. Are you doing okay today?
Doing great, man.
That
Off work
trash
for a little
stash.
bit on a Kelly day.
That trash stash under your lips looking fire.
Yes. I actually need to clean it up a little bit.
What's the official name of that? Is that Soul Patch?
Soul Patch. It's my
But
soul
it's like
patch.
it's like a reverse Hitler. It's like if you would reverse
call
that,
it that as well.
if you put it hold on. He says he's on there. Hold on. He says he's on there. I don't see him popping up. Do you see him popping up?
Nope.
Let me resend. Let me resend him a link. Let me tell one for the listeners out there, so you're not totally confused. Keith right now has an upside down Hitler. It means if you took the hair on the bottom of his lip and you put it on the top of his lip, it would be a Hitler stash. It's not like the traditional soul patch where it's like a line. This is like literally reverse the mustache on Hitler, and that's what keeps going on. Keith, cover for me for a second. I'm going to send him another link. Another link.
Well, I think we're gonna have a good show, though. I mean, with all the topics that you sent me, especially with the Trump stuff, watching him at UFC, which I'm sure we'll get into when the Trumpster we start talking about the Trumpster, but his walk out into the UFC.
Let's go there. Let's start with that. What, dude? I didn't know that was happening. I didn't know it was happening. And I'm kind of a UFC guy now by proxy.
Well, and he's always been friends with Dana White. I think Dana White said 20 or 25 years or something like that. I saw an interview with him.
Yeah.
And they said, they asked Dana White, what if anybody on the other side has an issue with Trump coming in, 2 days after he was convicted? He pretty much just said, I don't give a fuck. Don't take my product in. I don't care. Trump's my buddy. He's my friend. He's loyal. He's been here. I mean, this isn't the first one that he's gone to, but yeah, when he walked out to American Badass by Kid Rock, it was just, everything was just so, and obviously they knew how to stage that, right? I mean, get the camera angles, but whole place up on its feet, chanting FJB and then USA chants. It was phenomenal.
I love where the UFC's at. I hope it doesn't get pussied down and watered down. Really like where they're at right now.
I don't think it will. I mean, Dana White seems to be pretty strong in his convictions. I don't think he's one to waver. And he's made enough money. He doesn't care.
Dude, I'm not even allowed to talk about this right now, but my book is it's in its final edit this week. Final edit, 6th and final edit. I have to have a serious discussion with the publishing house because they don't like the use of the N-word in my book. Under quotes. So when a bad guy uses the N-word and I use it in quotes, they don't want it there.
Interesting.
There's a whole story about these Boston, Massachusetts drunks talking like, motherfucker, fuck you, motherfucker, you fighting my goddamn olives. And I spelled it all out. And I wrote as if they were Boston. The editor said nothing about that.
Right.
But they wanted, when I have a couple of stories where some inner city folks talk like inner city folks, and they think that that's offensive and it might come across to the reader as racist. So they wanted me, instead of changing it to Dims Ain't Mines, which I think is really important to the story because he says Dims Ain't Mines. They want me to change it to Them Ain't Mine. So I said in the comments, I said, well, you guys are okay with me making fun of white Boston massholes. And I'm not even making fun of them. That's how they talk.
Right.
That's historically accurate to a true story. But when I talk about hood and hood culture, I didn't make them talk that way. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And I think part of the book is that we do need to change hood culture. Like it needs to change, like Deep South redneck culture needed to change.
Yeah.
So does inner city hood culture. It needs to change. The music needs to change. Their ideologies need to change. The way they look at education and family needs to change. And that's part of what the book was about. So I'm in a big feud right now. And they want me to back down, dude. And it's like, it's such a large book deal that my wife didn't sleep at all last night and even woke up first thing this morning and was like, it's only in the book a couple of times. Right. And I'm like, dude, I don't know. I don't know. It's like the vaccine for me.
Yeah, that's a tough stance, especially, I mean, the fact that they're throttling down your life, your stories as you want to put them to paper.
Now it's just the editor. It's not the actual publishing house. It's just the editor that they've hired. So I am like, I want to leave it in and we'll just leave it up to what the publishing house says. It's not offensive though. Like it's them calling me the N-word for the most part.
Right. And you're telling a story. I mean, and I think that is very integral to, that, specific.
Right, because when somebody says the N-word, it gets your blood flowing a little bit. If you're a white guy,
you're even like, where's this going? Where's it going to end up?
You know what I'm saying? Like if somebody drops the N-word at you as a white person, you already kind of have an emotional reaction to it. You're like a cringe, like, ooh, even if it's a person of color calling you that, you're still like, oh. So it's important to know that those emotions exist. Mm-hmm. And that when you are called that as a cop, it's no different, right?
Yeah.
You still have these emotional responses and these emotional feelings. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. But the good news is that we got through, I think, like 13 chapters this week so far. So we only have like 7 chapters to go, 8 chapters to go. And then the book is completely 100% finished. So
nice.
Insanity this week. It's just been insanity. Doesn't look like we're going to get Ant again this week. And let's see, I resent the link is what I'm going to tell him. But all right, well, let's just jump into this rolling blackout thing. Were you affected by the blackouts? I know I asked you, but let me ask you again.
I wasn't this time when AT&T went down. A lot of people, and since a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, we had the issue. I know some people that I know had issues. I did not, but I don't know if that's because I'm on that FirstNet system with AT&T, so it's the first responder system to where we get. I guess they say we get priority. I don't know if it actually is something or not, but this time I did not, and I know Jill did not either. So
that's great. So Ant was a part of this. I was like trying to get a hold of him, and it was like this number can no longer be reached. AT&T last time blamed all of this on a coding error. If you remember when we covered it on the last one. That was back in February, but I haven't heard anything on what caused this blackout. Do we know what's going on with this one?
I haven't, to be honest with you, I haven't seen a ton on it. Like when you sent it out, I didn't really hear a whole lot.
So there was a news break on it, and it didn't really say much, man. It didn't say like what was going on. It just says that there appears to be an outage, So, but here's what I think is funny is that I think it was Tim Pool, if I'm not mistaken, called for blackouts like a week ago. Like he said, here comes the blackouts. And I'm pretty sure it was Tim Pool. It might have been Don Bongino, Sarah Gonzalez. I listen to so many podcasts, but I want to say it was Tim Pool. And it was last week. And it was right after Trump's found guilty, and he was like, here comes the rolling blackouts. I bet you they're going to roll out the blackouts. Now I also heard that it was going to be in June that we should expect blackouts in June, which was I think it was an Alex Jones. I wish I had my facts right this morning. Again, I explained to you guys why I'm so up in arms. Either way, Tanstradamus predicted that June was going to fire it up and be absolutely crazy, and it's already June 5th, and we've already had a little bit of a blackout problem. I don't know what's going on. I wonder if it has something to do with the Taiwan shit, though, because Taiwan, I'll read this article to you. Taiwan has surrounded, China has surrounded Taiwan. Have you heard about this?
Yeah.
So this is coming from NPR, and we're without our producer again. You guys know. If you guys were here Monday night, you know why we're at. He's the dead leg is literally killing him. U.S. congressional delegation met Taiwan's new leader on Monday in a show of support days after China held drills around the self-governing island. In response to his inauguration, Representative Andy Barr, the co-chair of Taiwan caucus in the U.S. Congress, said the United States is fully committed to supporting Taiwan militarily, diplomatically, and economically. There should be no doubt, there should be no skepticism in the United States, Taiwan, or anywhere in the world of American resolve to maintain the status quo and peace in the Taiwan Strait. The Republican the Republican from Kentucky said at a news conference in the capital, Taipei, after the delegation met Taiwan President La Chang-te. China regards Taiwan as a renegade province that must come under its control by force if necessary. The U.S., like most countries, does not have former diplomatic ties with Taiwan, but is bound by its own laws to provide the island with. Man, an ad popped up like right in the middle of it. This is why it's like so paramount that we have a producer.
I hate when that happens.
But anyway, Taiwan is bound by its own laws to provide island with means to defend itself. I kind of feel like they're saying all the same things that they said about Ukraine, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it does sound very,
we're dedicated no matter what, strategically, unequivocally, to the end of time, we're going to back Ukraine. How's that working out for us? They've already said we're not giving Ukraine. Is that it? Like we're kind of done with Ukraine. Is that the official? Is that the official stance on Ukraine right now?
It's just that whole thing is such a mess. And then you have this Newsweek article that I've got pulled up. It says the People's Republic of China claims Taiwan as its territory despite never governed there. Xi has said unification is inevitable through force if necessary. U.S. officials believe he has directed his forces to be capable of an invasion by 27. And then it goes on to say, however, this does not necessarily mean this or any other year has been chosen.
Well, I bet you they wait to see if Biden gets another term.
I completely
Biden gets another term, and then they're going to attack.
It'll be the day after. Day after everything's scrambling, you watch. Because I mean, you know damn well. I mean, if Trump gets back in there, that's not going to happen. They'll stall, and then he'll go over and do whatever it is he does when he goes over there. But I completely think it's dependent on old Sleepy Joe.
Brendan from Central Florida says Tim thinks the games have started. Big government attack. Okay. On that note, by the way, Brendan's just been in our chats for a hot minute now. I love to see it. I got to know this guy better. Wish I could know him better. Reach out to me, Brandon, on Instagram if you have it. Like to get to know you better. Andrew H. also in the chat says that he's brewing beer in the basement, hanging out with the Wolfpack. God dog it, Andy. Yeah. I love it. Love to hear it. I mean, some people are listening at work. I get it, but listening while making beer is just epic. By the way, there's a helicopter hangar in Tampa. Everybody listening to the show in the hangar on Sundays always appreciate that too. Joey Jojo J Rose says they're sending 300,000 troops to the EU. We're not done. It's just getting started. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess I needed this week. You guys have known this week's been shit for me, and I haven't been studying all that much. I know that nobody's been talking about Ukraine so much. Iran kind of went kind of silent as well in the midst of that. We covered that last week. But going back to Brendan's comment here, I said to Amsterdam's predictions, anybody wants to go and rip it. I've always said that June and July, it was going to get absolutely bot shit crazy. That's their last ditch effort. And when I saw Trump surging this week, I did pay attention enough but guys, I was at Jackalope Fest skating in a pro World Skateboarding League series with my prepubescent sons. So you have to give me a break. Like, most proud week of my life. And my book was due on Friday, final manuscript. So I apologize for being such a piece of shit today. I'm merely giving you guys enough information to go do your own research and to take up time in your cop car and your first responder car and look up shit that's going around the world so that you're at least in the know, and knowing is half the battle. So
I've got a picture that you can share the screen if you want. It
go ahead.
Just kind of shows what they're doing.
Okay, let me share it up. So now this is the Taiwan. We're going back to Chinese military drills. Now this isn't anything new, right? Like I've been covering this for fucking almost 2 years now, 3 years now. China doing these Taiwan drills, and if you send so and so here, we're gonna retaliate. Blah 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 blah. Remember when when the little cuck Hollywood wrestler had to go and make an apology in Chinese?
Oh, who was
John
it?
Cena.
Yeah,
Was it John Cena?
I think it was.
Oh my God. Oh my gay, actually. Oh my gay. Because he called Taiwan a country, correct?
I believe so.
And China was like, no, it's not. It's part of our territory. And so he was like, oh, I'm sorry, dude. There's not enough money. I am willing to throw away a couple $100,000 potentially right now on some bullshit. These dudes have millions already. What more do you need?
Right.
Like, why do you need any more of China's money? If I had $3 million, that pot could dry up tomorrow and I'd still live the rest of my life on that $3 million.
Yeah, I could.
I don't understand the point of living. I don't imagine living day to day on $3 million that you need to apologize to China. If I ever get famous, I will never let myself get to the point where my life solely depends on China.
Right.
Or anybody or advertisers. Like, hopefully I can live enough underneath my means that I can store that money away instead of buying Bugattis and running Bukakis.
That's a new shirt.
driving Bugattis and running Bukakis. Yeah, I'm not like it's and here's the thing though, is our culture latches onto that. So they see these millionaires living literally day to day, having to do so much extra so they don't get canceled, because if they do, they're going to lose these massive, like, why are you buying the massive house already? Like, unless that shit's paid for, because you're still a slave. You're just a slave to the system. Like, you had a way to get out of the system and now you're a slave to this. And the system wants you to be that slave. Like, they want you to be indebted to the system no matter what. They hate free people that, live way underneath their means and can tell the big government to go fuck themselves tomorrow.
Murph 530 had a good comment.
Let's go.
Said, to be fair, Taiwan and the U.S. have a long-standing agreement. They currently are the top producers for chips that we need for pretty much everything. We need to just make them here and be done with it, which I completely agree. And
dude,
I don't know if you remember, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever it was.
The chip shortage.
Yeah, the chip shortage. So we have a NASCAR track just over the border in Kentucky, and it's since closed, but it was full of brand new F-150s. I think they said there was like 25,000 F-150s in the inner bowl of this racetrack that they couldn't do anything with because we didn't have chips. Well, Mike DeWine, Ohio's governor, just did some big push last year, and they're building some huge factory in central Ohio to start producing a lot of these chips that we need, that pretty much, to Murr's point, goes in almost every electronic that's in existence for us.
Teresa Flobert says, Hunt and Co. stacking chips and buying whips. Kinky. Like it. Not opposed to it. We don't kink shame here. Especially not during Pride Month, which is almost like kink month at this point. We'll get to that story here in a second. By the way, if you haven't hit the like and subscribe, hit the like and subscribe button on the YouTubes. If you're listening on audio, this is a free show. We give you a whole bunch of shows on this network, to include Anti-Hero Podcast, now the Donut Shop Podcast, Two Cops, One Donut Podcast, Getting a Grip on Things Podcast, running YouTube channels like Rad Kids Club for your kids, and then doing 5 shows on Failure Stop Podcast channel 5 days a week. Least you could do is leave a 5-star rating and a review and be done with it. Or you could join the Patreon and pay the $3.99 a month, which is less than a cup of coffee a month these days, to really support the show. We really want to push Patreon because YouTube could go away at any moment. They've already ultra demonetized us. They tanked 3 more videos this week they're over a year old, but just got little notifications that we're getting dinged from videos that went out 3 years ago. So do you guys remember when this happened in the last elections and Mike the Cop lost and I lost the big Failure Stop channel? We had to start all over from scratch, and we went from 400, 500, 600 people in the live chats now down to, across the board 100 and only about 40 on YouTube, which has been crazy. So Patreon is really where we want to do the paid subscribers. Not so much on YouTube, although we love our YouTube paid subscribers and we do a lot of this for you guys. But seriously, to help us not be banned in the shadows of darkness on the YouTubes, just hit that like and subscribe button and share the show on your social media, man. It really, really helps. It does show in the algorithm when you show it on Facebook. So like, even if nobody on your Facebook really sees it, except 5 or 6 people, maybe you're one of these cops that only has like 30 followers on their private Facebook. The fact that you shared it on your Facebook lets the YouTube algorithm know that it's been shared. It doesn't necessarily matter how many followers. It doesn't matter at all. It just matters that it got shared. And the more it gets shared, the more it bumps up on the algorithm. We appreciate that. And by the way, Nijkin, you weren't here on Monday, but all the money from the We Defy Foundation equaled up to be about $3,000 in the end between the gym and you guys. And so you guys can go back and watch me roll in the roll-a-thon for an hour. Okay. Well, enough of that. Also, the Failure Stop Podcast Network is launching this summer. It's a new podcast channel called Failure Stop Network, which is going to host videos from all platforms. They're shorter term content. All the long-term live shit will still be here on Failure Stop, but the short-term, funsy, cutesy clips and reels and shorts and short breakdowns will be on Failure Stop Podcast Network YouTube. So big websites being built out for that. It's going to be big news. Today's show is brought to you by ghostbed.com/Wolfpack. We could not afford any of this without Ghostbed. Huge supporters of veterans and first responders. That's why it's important for you to support those who support us. So the two big sponsors we have are factormeals.com/Wolfpack50 and Ghostbed. And I've always said mental wellness starts with a good night's sleep and a healthy diet. And so that's why we've latched onto these two, because Ghostbed has the great sleep. The massage topper that just came out is absolutely phenomenal. I laid on it for 2 hours the morning after my roll-a-thon. Woke up at 7, didn't get out and come into the kitchen until 9. And my kids were just like, "Whoa, Dad, what's up, sleepyhead?" Like giving me all the shits. And I was like, I actually woke up at 7. I slept in a little bit because I just rolled. I sparred for an hour straight without a break. And I woke up at 7 and I turned on my massage topper and just hit a 2-hour heated massage on the Ghostbed massage topper, which 50% off right now. Head over to ghostbed.com, use the promo code Wolfpack. Also, they have the adjustable base, the cooling mattress, the cooling sheets. They got the healing mattresses with the copper running through it, which is my next big purchase here. The Ghostbed pillows, I can't have enough of them. My kids are now begging for Ghostbed pillows. Actually trying to work out a sponsorship deal with my kids, but we're traveling to these hotels and the Ghostbed pillows help out so much. And because of our show and the amount of truckers that listen to our show, we got Ghostbed to make an RV topper to fit in trucks.
Great
How
idea.
cool is that?
Great idea.
It's big, and so they have them now. So even these truckers can get up on the Ghostbeds. Head over to ghostbed.com/Wolfpack. And then healthy diet, right? Good sleep, good diet makes you that much more productive. Go to factormeals.com/Wolfpack50. Meal planning to the next level. These are chef prepared, fresh, and never frozen meals delivered right to your door. Calorie conscious, protein heavy if you're trying to get jacked like me and swole. Vegetarian or vegan if you're I can't be mean during an ad read. If you're like Kiefer, you know what I mean? Like, you guys just look at him. That's the kind of guy that likes vegan and vegetarian meals.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. I went vegetarian for a hot second. I also did carnivore for a hotter second. So I've tried it all. Look, there ain't no hate. I do think vegetarians smell funny, but it is. A lot of state troopers are vegans, is what Nijkin says. Yeah, I agree. But regardless of whatever diet you're trying to get into, July 4th is coming around the corner. I know that I have to eat chili dogs on 4th of July. There's no getting around that. And potato chips, there's no getting around it. So cut now. Start cutting now. Feel good about yourself now and earn that fucking dog and those chips, baby. It feels so much better when you've earned it. When you say I'm going to lose 3 pounds before I go and gain 1.5 pounds on hot dogs and chips on 4th of July, you're going to feel better. It's going to taste better because you earned it, because you worked for it. So hit Factor Meals now. Start that meal plan. Don't be wasting all that time going to the grocery store, buying all the accoutrements and all the sides and all the things, finding your Pyrex dishes, putting it all together and trying to find the lids and separating it. Yeah, stop. Just go to Factor Meals. The cost of the food at the grocery store, it now equals out and balances out with Factor Meals. So you're not losing any money going to Factor Meals and having them prepare your meals for you. Plus, you can do the breakfast shakes, the lunches, all the things. So head over to factormeals.com/Wolfpack50. Get you started on that. You were, speaking of Kiefer and vegetarianism, Gay Pride Month, it kicked off. Now, last year I was real big into it. It really seemed like a kink fest. I had tried to make a kind of a Failure to Stop kink sticker, but back then Mike the Cop was still part owner of the show. Really he had a problem with it, and thank God he did, because now I'm a little bit older and 1 year wiser. It wasn't the right move. It wasn't the right move morally and ethically to celebrate kinks. I don't kink shame per se, is what I used to say. Now I'm like, fuck it, let's start kink shaming. It's too much. When you're dressed like a horse with a gag pole in your mouth and you're running down the streets of Raleigh, North Carolina, and then these other crazy parents who suffer from mad parental illness have their children in the crowd watching this bullshit, we need to start kink shaming.
Bring it.
Right? It's gone too far, folks. You went too far. It's like, I've said it before, but there are people who go too far on St. Patrick's Day or Cinco de Mayo, but it's like a handful, right? Everybody else is having a good time. Yodely, 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 oorah, oorah, oorah. Everybody's having a great time. And then it's over. There's a few that are yakking and puking, and they get that Irish blood running through their veins. They want to fight. They want to be that Irish fighter, that Notre Dame.
Everybody thinks they're Irish and an Irish fighter when they're not.
Yeah, exactly. And they fuck around, they find out, and there's a few of them. There's a few folks out there that they get into it, but it seems like with gay pride, it's the majority, right?
Uh-oh, we lost Eric. I don't know what happened. Interesting. The internet, I guess, in the studio is not good right now. So I don't know exactly where he was going to roll through that with the whole kink shame, but we'll roll with it anyway. We mentioned the other day on our podcast, my buddy Dan, we did a little team building exercise, and this last year. So Rob, myself, and Dan went to a Cincinnati Roller Girls. I had to figure out what word. Exhibition is what we decided to call it. And we didn't tell Dan that it was Pride Month or that it was a Pride Roller Girls event. So if anybody's listened to Dan and knows his stance on things, he walked in and he was like, "What the hell did you guys bring me to?" I was talking about our team building exercise we did on One More last year when we took Dan to the Cincinnati Roller Girls, and it was a Pride event. And he had no idea. And his reaction was hilarious. But then he made the comment. He goes, "To be honest with you, it was done in very good taste. It was a family-friendly event. There weren't people walking around in, collars with, chains and shit hanging off of them. It was just, a celebration, and we got to watch, a roller derby exhibition. But it was done in good taste." I don't have an issue with things like that. I'm completely good there. But when you're, drag queens reading stories, in schools, to kindergartners, first graders, I'm not down with that. I don't think that there's a place for that at this point, but that's just my own opinion.
Sorry about that, guys. The blackouts, it is happening, man.
It's happening.
I could not upload YouTube today because every 10 or 20 minutes, our internet completely goes down. Our phone's going down too. So if you're trying to call me and it just says this number cannot be reached, it's the blackouts. And I apologize. But yeah, okay. So like what I was saying was it's the majority. Yeah. In the Pride Month, it's the majority that's acting like knuckleheads and assholes, which makes the majority of maybe the far right or the majority of the right or conservative really hate the event. Whereas we could tolerate it I don't consider myself far right by any means. I have a lot of liberal views. Matter of fact, in the first 3 months I worked with Mike the cop, he thought I was a liberal and tiptoed around me because of my, some of my liberal philosophies. But I lean as conservative morally. Morally, I lean conservative. I'm on the moral ground, the moral high ground of conservatism. But I do appreciate some of the social services that the left has to offer and the liberal has to offer. But with that being said, though, I can tolerate morally a gay pride parade. I really, it's hard for me to understand why we're having a parade based on somebody's sexual preference. That's still weird to me. However, I can ignore it. It doesn't bother me. I think the main thing that aggravates me about pride is that the rainbow was a representation of God destroying the earth because of pride and a lot of moral other issues. And so now they call it gay and pride and added the rainbow, which I thought was a direct spite on Christianity. And so you're never going to win the Christians over when you are poking that bear forever. So I actually appreciate the gay pride flag now where it doesn't look like a rainbow. I like that it looks like a fucking Jackson Pollock splatter paint.
It's actually a good analogy. I don't have an issue. It just drives me nuts. Like literally, I just went to Google, and I don't know if you've gone to Google for a Google search. I typed in Pride Month, and it literally like had like all the confetti and shit falling. Why?
Yeah, it's strange. I think they do some of it
inserted into your life everywhere this month for the whole month of June. Anywhere you turn, it's there. I get it. No. Yeah, celebrate being gay. That's awesome. Do it, but it doesn't have to be thrown every waking minute, every place you go.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair though, like St. Patrick's Day they do it, Valentine's Day they do it, Christmas they do it. I get it that the gays have to have their thing. I don't know why it's a whole month. I think that's a little far to be that gay all the time.
That's mainly my point.
It's like St. Patrick's Day, like let's be Irish for a day, great. Being Irish for a month, my liver would get sore. Being Mexican for a day on Cinco de Mayo is awesome, right? I love chips and salsa and queso and Modelo's and Margs and tequilas and all the things, but I only need it for one day or I'd be fat as fuck. I don't need Cinco de Mayo for a whole month. Cinco de Monto, don't need it. So I don't need a full month of being full gay. You know what I mean? Like, let's just celebrate Pride for a day. Let's go all out, do all your gay shit. And then like, let's just be done with it. I kind of understand why you have a Black History Month because there's a lot of history there.
Yeah.
Right. It's hard to cover, but even then we don't go full black. Imagine if the whites just went full black and we celebrated their cuisine of fried chicken and collard greens and black-eyed peas and ham hocks and shrimps and grits for the whole month. Like, we can't even do that or you're fucking racist. What you're doing a skit on that with Jay Durrell and comedian Margaret Owens. We're going to do like a white guy celebrating Juneteenth. It's going to be really funny because it's like I can't celebrate Juneteenth without being racist. If I truly wanted to celebrate Juneteenth, I would be looked at as a racist, correct?
In a lot of circles, yeah.
There's nothing I can do that wouldn't be cultural misappropriation or whatever they call it, right? So I can dress Irish on St. Patrick's Day, fine, it's good to go. I can dress like a fucking leprechaun, which is borderline offensive. But if I try to dress like African-American culture, or if I try to adopt some cornrows or something, dude.
Go to Jay's house and a dashiki and cornrows, yeah.
I would be, so I can't even celebrate. Like, I can wear a sombrero on Cinco de Mayo. Awesome, dude. That's great. I think it's fun as shit. Let me wear a fucking Black Panther beret on Black History Month.
Then you have to talk like Forrest Gump. Sorry to ruin your Black Panther party.
Sorry to ruin your Black Panther party. So this whole Gay Pride Month thing, the FBI, has anybody figured out if that's real? Did the FBI did a couple of dudes march in the parade with the field shirts on? That I only saw it was like Salem News, which I don't know is it's not a big enough news source for me to, but I could not find that image anywhere else. So I don't know if it's real.
I'm not sure.
But here's the thing too, though. It wouldn't surprise me if the FBI did some gay shit like that, because FBI is the ultimate.
This headline says FBI loves their pride parades. Never seen them marching in. The name of the site, tigerdroppings.com.
So this is the picture I'm referring to here. Salem News Channel. I don't know if that's real, but it was on it was on America First with Sebastian, whoever it is, but they covered it. But also there was this right here, which I don't know. I mean, that looks pretty fucking real.
Yeah.
I couldn't find a source for it either. So either A, it's not real, or B, the FBI is doing a great job of getting rid of it. But these were the two that popped up on a news article. But
I hadn't seen that second one.
Yeah, you want to see it again? So for those of you just listening, it's the Federal Bureau of Investigation, but they've got gay pride flags out on the table,
It's like a job fair booth.
Right, it's a job fair booth, and then they have like gay pride banners, streamers, like little tiny flags hanging up all around their tent. So, and it looks super real though, right? Like I don't think that's I don't think that's photoshopped, honestly.
I don't think it is either,
because there's too many imperfections there. And like some flags are waving, some aren't. I think that's real.
That is.
If anybody's got information on that, let me know. My FBI field agent buddy was very vague about it. He said he hasn't heard anything about it, but it wouldn't surprise him. But it would be definitely against policy, because they're not supposed to be politically motivated. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, they're not supposed to be getting into politics like that. So who knows? I'd love to know though. If you're out there and you want to send me a private message, I'll keep you anonymous. Let me know what you know about it. Nightkin really quick says, did you see California going to increase tax somehow, since gas income tax doesn't cover roadworks now with all the electric vehicles? I have not seen that, but I totally believe it. Bone Cold Fleas also in the chat says, Iran supports the campus protest. Until they find out the same protesters are members of a certain community, the Iranian government will throw off of the building. Yep.
With that gas tax, or with the California tax, I did hear that they were toying with the idea of taxing per mile.
Right.
So
yeah, you can suck 12 dicks. I'll do I would do the Ferris Bueller every day, where I like spin my car in reverse to get the miles off my car. Get the fuck out of California, please. Get out. Just leave California. I don't know why you're still staying there. Here's another interesting story for you guys today. Russia's military on Tuesday began drills involving tactical nuclear weapons that were announced by Russian authorities earlier this month in an apparent warning to senior Western officials who had spoken about the possibility of deeper involvement in the so-called special military operations in Ukraine. Now, I do know enough about the Ukraine stuff this week that America officially gave them permission to use the weapons that we're supplying with them to launch attacks into Russia. I know that some statements have been made, and if we had Josh here, he would fact check me on this. Can you fact check me on this? Yeah. Jeff, Jason, Josh, Jason, Jeff.
All right, let's see.
So I wanted to call you Jay, and then I went to call you Jason, and it just come out as Jeff. Jay Kiefer. So it's just like a mixture of all of them there. But anyway, so in response to that, Russia comes out this week with, they begin drilling involving nuclear weapons. Now, I've also been told that they're running like drills for kind of like World War II, Cold War era drills that we were doing in high school, where everybody like puts towels under their doors and kisses their asses goodbye, yada, yada, yada. Which again is just like more of this World War III escalatory rhetoric that I'm really afraid, guys. I really am scared that the closer Trump gets to winning this election, the closer we get to an absolute World War III nuclear rolling blackout, knock us back fucking decades or centuries. It bothers me. It keeps me awake at night. If it doesn't keep you awake at night and then it happens, know that you were part of the problem, right? This is something that should scare you. It is something you should talk about, so that maybe people will vote differently.
On your fact check, the only thing I could find was on Politico on May 30th of 24. President recently directed his team to ensure that Ukraine is able to use U.S. weapons for counterfire purposes in Kharkiv, so Ukraine can hit back at Russian forces hitting them or preparing to hit them. So,
right, which is new. Like that's new escalation. That's new rhetoric that the Americans have been avoiding for the last couple of years in this attack, and now they're just throwing it out there on the table again in June when I said it was going to happen. When Taylor Thomas said this was going to happen, like it's, and guess what? For all of you who fall for the cop shit, they're going to run and drag cops through the mud, and I'm not going to let them. I think I caught a little bit of shit from the Scheffler thing. I'll go back and listen to what I said exactly. I was more frustrated that it happens on every single fatality. There's always some well-respected individual that needs to go somewhere. It's never the middle class iron worker or anybody else that's just sitting in traffic. It's always I am a school teacher and I need to get through. I'm not. Listen, we now know that Scheffler wasn't like that. Possibly, I haven't delved too deep into it because I moved on. But it looks like the cops exaggerated according to the news. Now here's the other part of that too, is that of course the news are going to always make the cops look stupid. If that was Donald Trump, they would have been on the cop side. They would have been like, Donald Trump is exaggerating. You get what I'm saying?
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? So of course they're going to make the cops look foolish here. They have to, because we have to make the cops look stupid, and they're going to make cops look even more stupid up until the elections. And they're going to try to make everybody hate cops. Well, yeah, but look, Eric, this cop was in the wrong. Yeah, but cops do wrong shit every single day and nobody says anything about it. The only reason they're telling you about it now is because they want you to be mad at the police because we have an election coming up. And part of their strategy is you to be fucking anti-cop, anti-establishment some way, somehow.
Yeah. I mean, excuse me. They paint the picture the way they want it to be seen versus giving you that whole broad, the whole broad spectrum. They zero in on whatever the incident is, whether like you said, Scotty Scheffler or any of these, breakdowns that you guys do. If you go and look at news reports, from those, it never tells the whole story. It's, it's salacious media. So they give you the headline that they want you to click on it, and then they'll exaggerate it.
So Goldfleece Austin says he doesn't care if Ukraine attacks Russia. Russia did invade them after all. My question to that is why did Russia invade them in the first place? And I think that America has a little bit more to do with that than a lot of people would like to think, and that the media is telling them. I mean, it is confirmed that there were biolabs on the border that Russia wasn't too happy about, the same biolabs that leaked the COVID-19 virus out of Wuhan. Also, we had nuclear military weapons and sites that were very close to the border. If you remember back, and maybe I'm a C- student and you want to argue it, and that's great. I will take the argument, because again, if you're taking what I say to the grave, then you're in the wrong, right? You should do your own research on this. But if I do remember correctly, the whole reason we had this Operation Northwoods where JFK ends up getting assassinated was because of Russia's planting of nuclear capabilities inside of Cuba aimed at Florida and New Orleans, the Bay of Pigs type situation, where we didn't want Russia having nuclear weapons that close to the United States. And so we had this whole Cold War, and we had this whole thing with Cuba and the whole nine yards. You don't think for one second that Russia is not going to forget that? And then now we're starting to put nuclear weapons and biolabs on their border, and they're like, wait a minute, you weren't good with it when we were doing this in Cuba, but now you guys are going to do it in Ukraine. You have about 5 seconds to get that shit out of here, or it's going to be problems. And we didn't get that shit out of there. So I'm not a huge Putin fan at all. I'm not a Russia fan at all. I've been anti-Russia since like Rocky IV, since Ivan Drago. Not a Russia fan, folks. However, I have questions about what's going on in Ukraine. I don't like that they have an actor. I don't like the whole thing with Burisma. I don't like the firing and the getting rid of the Burisma deal. And then we also had the pipeline that we kind of were directly involved in, actually involved in. So there's a lot going on here. And here's my problem with Ukraine can attack Russia with their own weapons. I don't think any of the weapons in Ukraine are Ukraine's weapons. First of all, I think they've always been ours from the beginning. But I don't want a nuclear war. Period. I don't want a World War III. Period. I don't want Ukraine launching anything into Russia, Russia retaliating, China going after Taiwan, Iran going full fucking whatever they got going on Israel. I don't want that for my kids. My kid's 11 years old. By the time this shit kicks off, he'll be fighting in this mess.
Yeah.
And I don't believe in any of it. That's why I don't want and I know, my kids started MMA and they have a warrior spirit. And especially my 11-year-old and my 6-year-old, my 9-year-old, not so much, doesn't really want to be involved in that shit. He just wants to skate. He likes jujitsu. He likes it a lot. He likes MMA, but he doesn't have that anger inside of him. But my 11-year-old dude, like if you ask him right now, he's a phenomenal skater. You've seen it, right? Like incredible. Got to be one of the top 20 groms under 16 in the country. And if you ask him what he wants to be when he grows up, he'll tell you he wants to be a paratrooper. He wants to be an airborne paratrooper. So I don't want my kids getting in this fucking mix. And I know I'm not going to be able to stop them.
Yeah.
They're going to get into it.
Yeah. I mean, if that's, and knowing your kids, I mean, yeah, if that's something they set their sights on and that's what they want to do, that's what they're going to do.
So the Israelis will smoke the Iranians if that ever pops off. I get it, Bone Cold Fleas Austin. I understand that. But what happens when Syria and Lebanon and who else we got over there? I don't know. The Turkey. I don't even know where Turkey would lie in all of this. I know Turkey wasn't overly thrilled with us in Iraq and made it really difficult for us to land planes there. And, there's a lot of rules when you were going into Turkey. You had to leave your guns on the plane. And it's not just that, dude. It's China and Russia and Ukraine. I mean, when you have a global kickoff like that, we're talking lots and lots of people dying on both sides.
Well, the scary part is there's so much that we as the American people don't know and aren't allowed to know all of the full scope, the details. They hide and hold all of this information from us to where we're going in, bannering like this, and use your son as an example. If he wants to get in and do that, he's not going in with all of the information to be able to make that correct, choice for him. And that's the scary part, is how much shit that they hold from us. We know it's a big thing, but it could be 10 times bigger than what we think.
Right. I don't know if I'm comfortable myself killing Russians over something I feel like, for an example, and this is going to give me a lot of hate really quick, but they've made Putin a war criminal. Well, how do you make Putin a war criminal for war crimes and you not make Bush or make any of the other guys who have done bombing raids in Fallujah and killed hundreds and hundreds of children in Fallujah? Like, at what point is that not a war crime? How can you deem, just because we're not on his side, he gets to be the war crime, but we get to do the same shit. And we're not, like, if you think for 1 minute that Russia doesn't kick off and we don't go and blow up the same types of buildings and the same industrial military complexes as Russia did in Ukraine, you're fucking crazy. So, it's hard for me to want to go kill Russian soldiers, right? Who are in a fight, because I would be in that fight too. Like if the Russians put nuclear armament in Cuba, I would have no problem going to Cuba and fucking up Cuba. Yeah. It just seems like legitskis. It doesn't seem like it seems like everybody's kind of escalating in their own ways. And I don't want to take somebody else's life that's doing the same thing I would actually do in their shoes. Mm-hmm. If I was their type of person. Obviously I'm going to do it because I want to win and I don't want to die, but I'm not going to enjoy it. I'm not going to appreciate it. It's like the Civil War, right? Like, the Confederates didn't really so much enjoy killing their cousins and uncles, and there's a lot of stories of them crying about it, and I kind of cry about it too. I'm not a Putin supporter, though. I'm not a Palestine supporter, but I also question, like, let's send troops in and stop bombing everything. Like, let's send troops in and put some troops at risk to maybe save the kids. But I get it. World War II, we wiped out entire towns in Germany, killing, oh God, I don't know. What's the number on civilian casualties in World War II? It's got to be in the millions, I would imagine. From both sides, though. but we leveled those places before going in. So I got no problem with other countries that are at war leveling towns if we're going to do the same shit. If we do the same stuff, which we do historically, we do. How can we be mad at them for doing the same exact thing? It's bonkers to me. How about we all just stop doing that?
Potentially over 38 million.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And you talk about like if the New World Order or whatever wants to get rid of the civilian populace. I mean, getting rid of 32 million is a pretty good fucking start.
Yeah. No doubt.
Anyway, Elon Musk, last story of the day. I got to get out of here. Elon Musk says Biden's desire to tax the ultra rich would upset a lot of donors. Is a new big story coming from Yahoo Life, by the way. Elon Musk said President Joe Biden's plan to tax the rich won't sit well with a lot of donors. What Musk is trying to do right now is rally the wealthy, the ultra wealthy, and the ultra rich to start supporting Trump and rally against Biden, which is actually a huge strategic move. It's bigger than most people think. The billionaire has spoken out against billionaire tax in the past. Elon Musk took a dig at wealthy Democratic donors. President Joe Biden's plans to tax the rich in a tweet on Saturday. The president tweeted on Saturday that it's about time the super wealthy start paying their fair share. A little over an hour later, the tech magnate that stands among the richest men in the world replied that a wealth tax could become a burden to lower to middle incomers earners. I agree that we should make elaborate tax avoidance schemes illegal, but acting upon that would upset a lot of donors. So we will see words but no action, Musk said on Twitter in an apparent diss to the donors in the Democratic Party. In the 2020 election, billionaire donors spent over $2.3 billion across the two parties. God, dude, imagine what you could do to world hunger.
No doubt.
Biden in particular received money from about 230 billionaires or partners of billionaires, according to the report of Forbes. The reason why this is big news is because, again, while Trump surges after these court findings, has one of the biggest, 52 million at this last one over the weekend after being found guilty of charges that we don't know exactly what he's been charged with. By the way, we're going to follow up on this because I didn't get to we're going to go on to Patreon maybe tomorrow morning. I'll go on Patreon and we'll discuss what was Trump actually charged with, because I still don't really know and I want to learn about it and I need to study tonight about it. But my question, but with the big significance here on this Elon Musk thing is that Trump just raised record again, second time breaking records, broke his own record by raising 52 something million dollars in just one of two that he had this weekend after being found guilty. And then come Monday morning, Elon Musk breaks out with this tweet and starts stealing billionaire donors from Biden. This is where I think these call me crazy. I think, they're going after InfoWars right now. I think they said we'll cover that on Patreon too. But they're going to shut down InfoWars again. They shut down all of these channels right around June, right before the election season. It's going to happen every 4 years. That's why I really want to move away from this YouTube platform and get more onto Rumble and more onto Patreon. Because it's only, they did it to us the last election. They canceled the whole entire channel. We had to start over from scratch. Yeah. And that was sad and it sucked. We've never fully recovered from that. And so I've never fully invested into YouTube ever again. So, and as I say this, my internet went from full bars down to 1. So I don't know if that has something to do with it either, but maybe I'm just hyperbolic and crazy. Lots of stuff, though, going on in the news to keep up with. I go listen to Breaking Points if you want a more democratic point of view of a lot of things I've covered. If you want a libertarian view of that thing, go find Tim Pool. If you want a hyperbolic view on these things, go to Dan Bongino. If you want some more hyperbolic, but a female take, Sarah Gonzalez. We also have One America News Network. I pull a lot of stuff there. That's far right. If you want some of the far right news on there. And then, of course, if you just want like really fun, cool, eccentric dialogue, I like Russell Brand a little bit. I also do what's his name? Just had Russell Brand on there. I do. I'm sorry, Louder with Crowder, which he annoys the shit out of me, to be honest with you. I'd love to go on a show. I do listen to him, but sometimes it's a lot much. But I'm a lot too. Tucker Carlson, I like the Tucker podcast. Of course, I listen to Joe Rogan when I'm really feeling off the chain. I go to Roseanne Barr's podcast. But I have to be in a certain mood for there. But do your own research, fill up your time, be in the know. I think knowing is half the battle. And the only way we're going to fix this world is if enough people know what's going on. Don't be left in the dark, man. Take the red pill, enter the light, come to reality and deal with it. Deal with the fucking reality. Quit living in la la land. Because if you're just living in a fake world and you're hiding under a rock, what does that make you? Take off your 9 Line Apparel shirt. Take off your Black Rifle Coffee shirt. Take off any of your little warrior fucking shirts because you're not. If you're not going to be in the know, if you're not going to be all Sun Tzu, what is it? The Art of War about it. Then get the fuck out. Then just stop wearing the shit. Because knowing your enemy and knowing what's going on is part of the fucking battle. And get your heads out of the sand. Get in the fucking battle and start fighting for the things that you believe in and things that are important to you, and stop using the excuse of, oh, I can't make a difference. It's just too doom and gloom for me. No, now's not the time, because when the blackouts happen, when World War III happens and nuclear happens and you didn't do jack shit about it, then you're fucking part of the problem and why we got to where we're at. So open your mouth, get boisterous, pick a side, and be a part of the solution and not a part of the problem.
Nicely stated.
All right, for myself, from One More and I'm Out of Here podcast is Jay Kiefer, standing for Jason Kiefer, not Jeff Kiefer or Jay for whatever I said. I try to combine Jay and Kiefer and Jason all at the same time. For all of us here, thoughts and prayers to Dead Leg and Dead Leg Media as he is in the hospital still with his bummed out leg. I will see you guys. You guys will be here tomorrow for sports. And then, of course, Night Shift Top Secret Information has a new episode out. Night Shift Top Secret Information, our conspiracy theory show with Red Pill Threads. Go over there and look at it. Please head over to Rad Kids Club on YouTube. Do it for the kids. Hit the subscribe, hit the like button. Please do it for the kids. And if you have kids, let them watch the entire episode in its entirety. It really helps them out on the algorithm. I'm begging you. I'm pleading with you. Please go and do that. And then leave a 5-star rating review for all the podcasts that are on this network. And get ready, folks. It's going to be a wild summer. It's going to be a wild ride. It's going to be a hot political summer. And I'm down for the ride, baby. I got front row seats and a bag of popcorn. I'm ready to go. We'll see you guys tomorrow for sports. We're out of here.